What's going on, everybody? So I just wanted to get on here and encourage you to learn God's voice. Every time God gets to speaking, first off, the devil try to make good sound evil and evil sound good. The Bible even tells us, woe to those who call good evil and evil good. Every time God tell you to do something, the devil gonna always make it sound bad or attach a spirit of fear to it. And notice that the spirit of fear always come in familiar voices, whether it's a family member, whether it's a pastor, whether it's a friend, whether it's a past relationship. The devil always try to use fear to stop what God is doing and make you question it. Everything that you was taught, it's like we go off there. And a lot of times what happens is when God tell us to do something, we're so unfamiliar with his voice that when he tell us to do something, we get stuck. We operate in confusion and frustration because it's not what we are used to. When you get close to God and learn God's voice and learn his character, learn his ways, you will find out that a lot of times what we were taught or our understanding, it was completely different. And you will find out that God don't operate like that. Not to say what people taught you was wrong or the godly advice or counsel from pastors or leaders or family and friends wasn't always, their attention wasn't good. But your relationship with people is not your relationship with God. And their relationship with God is not your relationship with God. And sometimes people get caught up in it. They take people's opinions or experiences or whatever it is and replace that with a relationship with God. You go to church, you hear stories or you hear people preaching and you hear all these things, and a lot of people feel like that's their relationship with God, or they just operate like that. So when God gets to speaking in that still small voice, they're really unaware, or because not only that they wasn't taught the voice of God or how to discern God's voice, it's like the only thing you know is other people's voices because that's all you hear, and you just assume that that's God. First off, you're supposed to test every spirit and see if it's God, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? People might give you some advice, but it doesn't mean that that's from God. So when God tell you to do something, you're so used to how other people or what they're telling you to do that you just automatically move in fear or move in doubt when God gets to speaking, and you get to rebuking God a lot of times. And when God tell you to do something, a lot of times we say that ain't nothing but the devil because it's going against what you're familiar with. It's going against the church. It's going against your pastors, your family, your parents, because God is the God of your life. You can't put anybody before God. It doesn't matter. People are put in place. God made pastors for a reason. He made your parents for a reason. It's nothing wrong with getting godly advice or people telling you, because the Bible says a wise man hear instruction and increase learning. But everything somebody tell you is not always right. And even if they're telling you that, you have to you can't just take people's words for it because of who they are. You have to go to God and make sure, and you have to test that spirit. Okay, God, is this you? And just because God used people, they're still not God. Their opinions or their advice is not God. God can use them in your life, but you can't stop there. You still have to get a relationship with God and know how he talk. No, because what if you're in a situation and those people are not around, you can't get to those people. So you have to know God for himself. You have to get a relationship with God. Before you get a relationship with anybody else, you have to get a relationship with God. You have to learn his character, learn his ways. You have to be able to discern what God is saying to you. You have to discern God's voice. The Bible says God speak one, God speak twice, but man perceive it not. A lot of time God is speaking, we're not perceiving it because we're unfamiliar with it. And that's a problem, that a lot of people don't know the voice of God. If you're sitting in a church and everybody going left and God tell you to go right, you going to rebuke God and like, nah, everybody going this way. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, but if you know God's voice, you're going to be confident and you're going to go right. People going to call you crazy. People going to say, nah, you disobedient. People going to call you rebellious. People going to say all these things about you because everybody going left and you choose to go right and choose to follow God. And a lot of times you're going to find out God, if you're really called by God and you're really anointed by God. First off, the Bible tells us that the leaders cause my people to err. So if everybody listening to the leader, and not to be disobedient or not to be rebellious, but you have, sometimes you're going to have to go against the leader, and you're going to have to go against everybody. And look at David. He knew that he could defeat Goliath because he knew his God and he was confident in God. But people around, even a leader, looked at him like he was crazy. But hey, go ahead. But when he defeated them, everybody cheering you on, everybody doing that. So sometimes you have to be the David in your situation, not just your family. Sometimes you're gonna have to be the David in your church, your community, your job, wherever. You're gonna have to be the one that stand up. Just because other people have insecurities or fears, you can't let them project that on you. And sometimes when people projecting their fears and insecurities, all these things on you, and when God gets to speaking, it's like you rebuking God, because it's like, okay, well, you're calling their insecurities, their opinions, their fears, all these things have become your God. The crowd crucified Jesus. They said, give us Barabbas. So you have to learn it. So you have to be okay with people looking at you crazy. When you learn God's voice, or when you're doing what God tells you to do, it's gonna, 9 times out of 10, it's gonna make you look crazy. It's gonna make you, it's going to go against what people, their beliefs is going against, because God, if God trying to use you, he trying to use you for a reason. Every time God used somebody in the Bible, he used people to correct people. He used, God used certain people to go against the traditions, go against the religious spirits, go against the religious leaders, go against their ways, to remind people that he's God. But sometimes people so caught up in the systems or the way that things are going that they get so high of themselves. Sometimes people, when God put people in position, they act like that he gave them the throne. And sometimes God might use you to go against all that and get things back in order. But if all you know is their voices and their ways, you're going to go against God just because of what you used to. Just because you're operating out of fear and you keep calling the things that God's telling you to do the devil, because it seemed like that, okay, well, I was told not to go against the pastor. I was told that I can't do that. I was told my mama said don't do that. My mama, so you're letting what those people taught you cause you to live in fear. But sometimes God might tell you to step out on a boat. People are going to call you crazy for stepping out. But when you walk on water, them same people going to be sitting there telling you, I knew you could do it, or all these things. So you got to be ready for that. But the only way you can do that is if you know God's voice. And knowing God's voice and knowing God's character and knowing the way that God do things is going to cost you some. And that's with any relationship. To know who somebody is, you have to spend time with them. And that's just like, okay, let's take a book, for example, your favorite author. And people can tell you what that book mean, or they can give you all these interpretations, or you can even go off your understanding of what the author was talking about in their book. But until you get a relationship with the author personally and spend time with the author personally, can't nobody tell you about that book better than the author himself. And sometimes people forget that. All these people have these opinions or stories or whatever about their book, but everybody neglect the fact that, okay, let's go ask the author. And that's how it is with God. Like, test every spirit, try every spirit and see if it's of God. You have to go to God and make sure that what people telling you or the information that you get or whatever it is in life is valid. And like I say, 9 times out of 10, when you get close to God, when you get a relationship with God, you're going to find out a lot of things. God is going to reveal himself that you will be thinking that people just call the praise of God or the spirit of God was up in her. But God might be sitting up there showing you that, okay, all the wrong in the church or all the wrong in the situation. But to you steady rebuking it, because it's like, well, that ain't nothing but the devil want me to look at these people like that. It might be God preparing you. It might be God preparing you to see things. It might be God trying to get you to walk in your call or walk in your gifts. But you keep on sitting up there calling it the devil. The devil, the devil, the devil. It don't work that way. Remember, the Spirit led Jesus in the wilderness. So if God leads you in the wilderness, we automatically say the devil leading us in the wilderness. So you have to be careful of those things. And it's time to get a relationship with God. And in this season, God is saying, my sheep know my voice and do follow. Seek me with your whole heart. He said, you will find me when you seek me with your whole heart. Take this message to God in prayer. God bless you.